Do you feel like marriage is something that people should really pursue
Hmm.
in life?
So I'm going to give you a little of my personal history with this question, because before I ever did this work, I had no intention of ever getting married. I thought it was really silly. Like I didn't see the point. And I am married now. And I've been with my husband now 12 and a half years. And our relationship was always really committed from the start. Like I knew we were going to be together. But we honestly only got married when we moved to Mexico, and it made the immigration process easier for us.
Mm.
But since getting married, I'm surprised how much I like being married. There is something, and maybe this is my cultural conditioning coming in, but there is something in that role of even introducing him as my husband or myself as his wife, that there is like a charge or a feeling behind it. So I like marriage more now after getting married than I would have said, before. I didn't really respect it as an institution very much. However, I think we have a lot of challenges to overcome as a society in terms of the legal side of marriage, because there's a lot of challenges I see men facing during divorce, legally, and there's a lot of biases in our legal system against men. And if you talk to divorce lawyers, like I've talked to a lot of them, and they swear it's really 50-50 in most states. I've worked with men in a lot of states in a lot of different countries, and it is often a fight, especially around their children.
Yeah.
So I can understand, and a lot of men are like, well, screw marriage and you should never get married. I can't say that I don't get it. There's, especially with the political climate now and things like the Me Too movement, women have a lot of power legally, and marriage does make men vulnerable to that. Darren, of what needs to change in our cultural story. And it's within marriage as an institution, but I think what happens within marriage, especially legally and during divorce, is just a small part of what's broken in our justice system. Because we live in a society that really wants to classify people as good or evil. And we judge people as bad all of the time, and we punish them for their badness. And we're very quick to write somebody off as a bad person or deserving of all kinds of horrible things. And the reality that I've learned through doing this work with men and women is that we're just human, and that it's hard to be human, and it's complicated to be human. It's even harder to be a human being in a relationship with another human being. And that every action we take, whether it's in a relationship where we yell at our spouse, or we withdraw and don't talk, or we withhold sex, or whatever we do to our partner, or it's something worse like a crime, even murder. I think behind every action we take, there is a positive intention. And at the root, all of our behavior, at least that I've explored with my clients, seems to be rooted in wanting to be safe or free or feel loved. And I think that we live in a culture, in a society that doesn't do a very good job of helping us feel that way, especially as children. So we grow up looking for those things and unable to meet those needs throughout our lives, and they cause us to mess up our relationships and get into legal trouble and wreak all kinds of havoc in our lives. And so I think the shift we need to make is to really see each other, all of us, as human, dealing with these same root desires that we want to have agency in our lives. We want to have, that's the freedom piece. We want to feel loved, and we want to have security. And I think if we could look at people through that lens, men and women, and even people in the criminal justice system, that we would have to start to create a very different system around how we handle things like marriage or divorce or custody or jail time or capital punishment, those things. So for me, it's a question of how do we humanize our narratives kind of across the board.